Hi Tarot friends, it's Jade here with Tarot Your Truth, and I am back with another deck walkthrough. This time we're going to be walking through the Karma cards by Monty Farber. This includes 36 cards, which are split evenly among planet cards, not plant cards, sign cards, and house cards. And it does have a book. This is by Sterling Ethos, located in New York. Okay, so if this is your first time visiting me, then welcome. I'm very glad to have you here, and I thank you for spending time with me. And if this is not your first time visiting me, then welcome back. I really appreciate all of your time. I'm doing these walkthroughs with all of my decks because it, number one, helps me to reconnect or connect with the deck, with the decks that are in my possession. And 2020, I really want to be a depth year and study with the decks that I have. I really don't want to buy any new decks. So we'll see how successful I am, but in the meantime, let's get to it. So this deck here opens up, so how it comes actually is with the back of the book actually fits into the sleeve, so it's together, and then the cards are in here. So I'm going to just pull those out. Okay, and I'm going to pull the book out. This is another deck that came with a lot of 10 to 12 decks from someone who had bought a shipping container with, it was a full shipping container with things, and these 10 to 12 decks were in that container, and I ended up purchasing them from him. I have not really used this deck yet, and I'll talk about why, but I do plan to. I have read through the book, which is pretty interesting, actually. I'm really glad that I got this, because this is a very good, I think anyway, knowing nothing about astrology, this is a very good introduction to astrology. But the awesome thing is that you actually don't need to know anything about astrology in order to use the deck. So you can start using the deck, figure out how it works, and then expand your learning with the astrology portion. So Monty Farber is the creator of this deck. And so we've got information on how to use the cards, then the zodiac signs, the planets, and the houses, and then a little bit more information. The introduction is actually really great. And it's actually really great. It goes through sort of everything you need to know to get. It's kind of like a quick start guide. So it gets you moving pretty quickly. So these cards, if you don't have them, if you don't have these cards yet, then what they do, so he says he has created them to answer two types of questions. One is, sort of what is the outcome of something? What's the outcome of a situation? Or what should I keep in mind when blah, blah, blah. And then the second type of question is, what should I do? So it's, about, because, with, to, whatever, any situation. So one is more of a passive thing. So what's the outcome, or what do you keep in mind? And then the second is an actual action. And I'll show the cards quickly, and then I'll show an example, because I think that's going to be the easiest thing. It is not a regular tarot deck. Okay, so this is what the cards look like. So you say planets, they are reversible. Okay, so these ones say planets. Then there are signs. And there are houses. And the card, this is not going to work very well. I'll move that out of the way. Okay. So this card here, for example, is signs, and you can see that the fronts of the cards have all this writing. And I'll go through what all these are. I'll go through what all these are just to show. But in the center, you'll have the image, which in this case will be the signs. If it was a planet, then you'd have an image of the planet. And that's a sign. Let's see. And then the house, you'll have the actual house. So it'll show you in the 11th house. So if you don't know anything about astrology, you can totally ignore the center portion. And this is what you do. So what he tells you to do is to separate the cards into 3 piles. So you will have your planets cards, your signs. So you have 1 pile for planets, 1 pile for signs, 1 pile for houses. Okay, and I'll show you what he does and then what I did. I've used these a little bit, not too much, but just sort of experimenting. Do I have those in the right order? There is an order that they need to go in. And so the planets are first, the signs are second, and the houses are third. Good. Okay. So if you have asked, so if we turn these around, for example, and so you need to make sure that they are in this order, because that's really how they have been put. That's really how the whole thing behind this. So I'm going to see if I can figure out how to get these so that we can. Oh my goodness. Maybe I should have done this before, eh? If only I was organized. Okay. Move those over. Okay. Let's just put something in front here to hold these, because otherwise it's going to keep falling down. Okay. So I've turned these so that all of the red writing is on the top. So there's 3 shades of red, and those, the red side answers situational question, or not situational, the action. Yeah, so what do you need to do? And then on the bottom, you'll see 3 different shades of blue, and those answer the outcome questions, or the what should I keep in mind sort of questions. So if you ask a question that is, that asks what you should do about something, or that requires some sort of action, then what you do is you read along the top. So that'll give you 3 different answers. The first one, so you'll see a little S, a little M, and a little P. So the top answers gives you an answer that addresses the spiritual side of things. The M answers a sort of on the mental side of things, and then the P gives you an answer that covers the physical side of things. You'll have the same thing on the outcome side of things. So if you asked a question, and these are just random cards, but you would read across, you'd say, stir up the situation by using your vision as a life or death issue. Or your answer could be open to new ideas about what's new and different about getting and using power. Or your answer could be invent a way to use an unconventional way and use other people's resources. So whatever your question is, again, what should I do about this person that I'm so madly attracted to, as an example, then one of these three sentences, reading right across, will be your answer. The interesting thing is that at first glance, sometimes they don't seem to answer, but if you sort of think about things, and sort of let things ruminate, you find out that, oh yeah, it actually does make sense. The way that Monty Farber talked about this in here is that it really helps, these cards really help you to understand yourself a little bit better, even before or while answering the question. So just the fact that you've asked the question and then thought about these three possibilities sort of really helps move things in the right direction. So that's the action. And if we instead asked an outcome question, then let's turn them around so that we can read the blue side. Okay. So if I asked a question about what will be the outcome of my investing in that stock that I have been promised will double in value, as an example, then again you read across. So the first answer could be an unusual example of genius to experiment with personal power, or a different way of looking at the discoveries of the mysteries of life, or an unexpected change resulting from the eccentricity of a major change. They're not sort of a slam dunk, straight in your face answer like Tarot gives you, or like Lenormand gives you, or like Sibylla gives you, for sure. But it definitely opens things up. It definitely opens things up for you. It provokes thought, and eventually does give you the response. There is a way to answer yes or no questions with this deck, and I think the way that they do it is is with the planet cards. So each planet, each of the 12 planets has been assigned a yes, no, or maybe, an even degree of yes, no, or maybe value, and you'd ask your question and then pull just the planets and answer that way. So I haven't played with this too much. I plan to play with it, and I definitely plan to read all the info on the planets. So like I said, it does give a really good, I think, what is a good introduction into astrology. So this is Venus, for example. It gives you a whole description about the planet, and then some keywords, and then a message for you, and then a warning as well before it goes into the next one. So it's different. It's a different thing for sure. And then it goes into the houses. I have no idea about any of the houses or what they mean. So it will be interesting to go through that. I read this quite a while ago, and I don't remember any of it because astrology that isn't something that's really been top of mind for me. So I'm going to have to go through it again. Anyway, that is the karma cards. Do you have this deck? I would love to know. And I'd love to know if, especially actually, if you not only have this deck, but if you know astrology. I would really love to know how this works for you, and what your thoughts are about the astrology side of things. Oh, one of the things I wanted to say was, so they tell you to shuffle, or he tells you to separate the cards into 3 piles, right? and then shuffle the 12 cards, shuffle each of the 12 cards, and then pull one card. And each time you're shuffling, you're concentrating on your card, not on your card, on your question, sorry. And I don't know, to me that just seems like a lot of work, a lot of time. And what I chose to do instead, and I did do it his way at first, but what I chose to do instead was just to shuffle the entire deck. And then I would pull the first sign card, the first planet card, and the first house card. And those would be my 3 cards. So that way I'm just shuffling once, I'm asking my question once, and there we go. So that is the Karma cards by Monty Ferber. And I'd love to hear from you as to whether you have this or whether you're interested in it, and how it works, because this is something that astrology is something that I am interested in diving into a little bit this coming year. So I hope you've enjoyed. If you did, please hit the like and subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it. Talk to you soon. Bye.